Greetings and welcome to another LGR thing about IBM personal computing. This time with a pleasant sprinkling of Palm OS thrown into the mix, cause today we're looking at the IBM WorkPad PC Companion. The 2 MB model to be specific, that being the WorkPad 20X, costing $399 when it launched in June of 1998. This delightful little handheld was IBM's second entry into the realm of Palm Personal Digital Assistants, or PDAs, a series of products IBM dubbed WorkPads, keeping in line with their ThinkPad series of laptops. Even if, confusingly, IBM made another WorkPad that looked more like a ThinkPad, the Model Z50, that WorkPad was an odd Windows CE machine that's a topic for another day, whereas this WorkPad is more along the lines of a Palm PDA. And by that I mean that's exactly what it is, a rebadged 3Com Palm 3 built for IBM by 3Com just a couple months after the Palm 3 came out. Same specs, same case, same software, same accessories. The biggest difference is that IBM's WorkPad had a black plastic shell instead of the Palm's charcoal-colored one. And of course, it's an IBM, which means things. Professional things, respectable business person things, things that mattered to a company's existing relationship with Big Blue, meaning that businessy business folks could bring about business with IBM PDAs matching their IBM laptops and IBM desktops and IBM servers and IBM. Yeah, from IBM's perspective, that was the strategy. Forge an agreement with 3Com's subsidiary Palm while keeping IBM customers under the IBM umbrella. While you could buy your own WorkPad through an authorized reseller, chances are more people received one instead, as part of a package deal through IBM or through their employer. Like purchase a $5,000 IBM desktop, get a $400 WorkPad alongside it, that kind of thing. Either way though, end users were nestled into the massive Palm ecosystem that boasted a 63% worldwide market share, and ended up with a rather capable Palm OS 3.0 PDA, with or without the IBM WorkPad branding. Just like the Palm 3, it's a more streamlined, rugged case design compared to its predecessors, while remaining super lightweight at 147 grams or 5.2 ounces. Ideal when recording haphazard B-roll and dropping it from eye level to the floor. Not a dent though, not even a scratch. This thing is almost Nokia levels of bulletproof. The LCD screen is basically the same as the earlier Palm Pilots though, being a touchscreen measuring 85mm or 3.5 inches diagonally. It also has the same 160 by 160 pixel resolution 2-bit grayscale display, capable of showing 4 shades of gray, with adjustable contrast using a tiny knob under the left side edge. And of course, being from the late 90s, it's a resistive touchscreen, so pressure needs to be applied using a fingernail or using the included stylus tucked away in the back right corner. No smart input features here, just a passive plastic pen for tapping and dragging items on screen. Simple and effective stuff. In addition to the LCD touchscreen, this pale green rectangle below is also touch sensitive, providing 4 shortcuts for searching files and text, opening the calculator app, accessing drop-down menus, and displaying installed Palm OS 3 applications. There's also a center rectangle for inputting text with letters entered on the left-hand side and numbers on the right. These are drawn using Graffiti, which was Palm's single-stroke handwriting recognition system. And yeah, it's one of those things where once you get used to it, typing in text can be accomplished pretty quickly indeed. It's all done using predefined gestures and shapes, so the learning period varies depending on how you normally write. And personally, I find Graffiti 2 a tad more intuitive, but yeah, this first generation works well enough. I just have to refer to the cheat sheet on the folding cover more often than I'd like. Besides, if it gets annoying, there's always the option of bringing up a virtual keyboard by tapping the bottom left and right corners. Or, just plug in an external keyboard or docking station. Though at that point, you're foregoing some of the advantages of PDAs outright, so yeah, pick your poison. Another nice feature of the WorkPad is its electroluminescent backlight, enabled by holding down the power button for a few seconds. A pretty desirable feature in low light situations, though lacking the inverted pixel option seen on later Palm devices, so it's always black on blue and not the other way around. Really, it's a tough time finding ideal lighting either way due to the screen's narrow viewing angle, with bright indoor lights or sunlight being ideal, but not too much, since the plastic screen is reflective as nuts. Thankfully, it's also efficient as nuts, able to last several months in standby mode using only 2 AA batteries. Of course, it's not going to last nearly that long under constant use, especially if the backlight is turned on, but even then the battery life of the WorkPad is stellar. I've used it for a good 10 hours on this set of batteries and the power meter hasn't budged. Something to keep in mind though is that data integrity is reliant on power, so if the batteries die or are removed, whatever was running in memory is lost after about a minute, and after a few months, the internal backup battery runs out of juice and user data is lost, reverting back to factory settings. On the topic of storage, when IBM says this is a 2 MB WorkPad, they mean it. The 20X here has no external memory option. However, looking inside, you'll see a little expansion slot, and that can be upgraded with a larger memory module. Mine only has the factory installed 2 MB of EDO DRAM. In addition to those 2 megs, there's also another 2 dedicated to storing the Palm OS 3 operating system and built-in applications, and all this is being run by a 16 MHz Motorola MC68328, one of their mid-90s Dragon Ball CPUs based on the classic Motorola 68000. There's also this teeny little monophonic speaker for playing beeps and bloops, similar to that of a PC speaker, but amusingly even punier. One big feature 3Com and IBM were super happy to brag about was the integrated infrared transceiver, letting users transfer files wirelessly using IRDA 1.0. Previous models only had this available through an expansion, so having built-in infrared was rad. Rad for red. But yeah, as neat as all this is from a technical perspective, what can you actually do with an IBM WorkPad? Well, let's get it synced with a Windows 98 PC, try out the software, and play some games. So getting the IBM WorkPad connected to a PC is absurdly simple. As with all Palm OS devices, there's this magical feature called HotSync, where you can synchronize data between your machines at the press of a single button. This button, the HotSync button, for syncing hotly in a hot synchronized fashion. The WorkPad has a hidden serial interface on the bottom for connecting it to Palm's proprietary cables and cradles, and thankfully this bundle came with the latter. Plop in the WorkPad so it clicks in place, connect the 9-pin cable to a serial port on your PC, and then it's down to the software. This package came with 2 CD-ROMs, but all you really need is the one with the relabeled Palm desktop software, IBM WorkPad Desktop. The other disk just comes with a few trial programs that no one really needs. But yeah, so long as you've got your COM port selected, the desktop software takes care of everything. Simply hit the HotSync button. And your computer and the WorkPad talk it out for a bit, synchronizing user data between your desktop and your PDA, matching everything up. It can take anywhere from a handful of seconds to a couple minutes depending on how much data there is, but once it's done, that's it. Your PC and PDA are now in sync. Things like emails, calendars, addresses, documents, installed programs, everything you need really. So what you do on one system is cross-referenced and updated on the other every time you hot sync, and it's awesome. This is also how you install new programs, something to do ASAP since from the factory, the WorkPad only comes with a handful of PDA productivity basics. Most of the time, Palm programs are distributed as PRC files, like these games here provided by Palm with the WorkPad. Once they're copied over, that's that, no further setup required. I seriously love how simple this is to use, it's just a pleasure. As for the games it came with, Giraffe here is the simplest one of the bunch, designed to help users learn the graffiti system. Draw each letter before it reaches the bottom of the screen, and that's what that is. Hardball is a breakout clone, doing a great job at highlighting the image persistence limitations of this particular LCD. It's fine though, and introduces the idea of using the application shortcut buttons for controls. Mine Hunt is a straightforward Minesweeper game, something ideal for a pen-based touchscreen device. Tap the boxes and don't blow yourself up, you know the drill. Flagging mines is a little awkward though, done by tapping boxes while holding the page up or page down buttons at the bottom middle of the device. Puzzle is another lackluster freebie, being one of those sliding number puzzles that I have never found enjoyable in my entire life, but that's just me. Works well as a monochrome touchscreen game though. And finally there's Sub Hunt, one of those games where you're a battleship destroying submarines using depth charges, just like Sega's classic arcade game Deep Scan, also known as Subscan. Easily the best of the bunch in my opinion, since its slow pace and simple concept are bare bones enough for the workpad's controls and display not to interfere. However, this is only scratching the ocean's surface when it comes to early Palm OS games, I tell you what. All workpad and no playpad makes LGR a dull boy pad, so let's install some third-party games about selling illicit substances. Yeah, that's right, there's no way I wasn't gonna start with the dopest Palm game of all, Dope Wars. A definitive computer gaming experience going back to the 1980s, where you play a sketchy New York City drug dealer, trading all manners of uppers, downers, and all-rounders. This brings back memories, whether it's Dope Wars, Drug Wars, for MS-DOS, for TI calculators, doesn't matter. Growing up, it seemed like every new device that came along had some version of this strategic arbitrage classic, and it's just as addictive as ever. Same goes for Space Trader, which I actually prefer when it comes to early monochrome Palm games. Similar idea to Dope Wars, but with more spaceships and fewer trench coats. Think a text-based version of Elite, and yeah, entirely too much fun, and the perfect kind of game to play on a small screen with a stylus. And since I know someone's gonna ask, no, the Workpad 20X does not run Doom, but it does play SimCity. Yeah, there was actually an official port of SimCity Classic to grayscale Palm OS systems in 1999. And believe it or not, the gameplay is not held back in any significant way. This is a proper city building experience, which you'd hope considering it cost $20 back in '99. That 3-inch mono display doesn't do the game any favors, of course, and accurately placing large buildings can be a tad iffy, but seeing as SimCity is normally played with a mouse, playing with a pen and a touchscreen works awesomely. Also making great use of the workpad's limitations is the freeware game SF Cave, one of those endless flyer games where the goal is simply to make it from left to right without hitting anything. Instead of tapping the screen though, here you press the page up button and hold it down to gain altitude exponentially. Yeah, dead simple, oddly addictive, a must-have time waster. Blocks is another free Palm OS classic, and it's exactly what it looks like. Tetris. On a portable system, you gotta have it. There was an official port of Tetris for Palm OS as well, but this one's more than good enough. Next up, I have to mention Vexed, another freebie puzzle game with an amazingly simple but devilishly addictive quality. All you need to do is connect the tiles with matching patterns together in such a way that you're left with 0 by the end. Straightforward but seriously tricky later on, especially with some of the downloadable level packs. Yeah, that's right, free DLC in a 90s PDA game, that was a thing. And finally, of all the PopCap games I could mention, I gotta go with Bejeweled. Astroware was omnipresent back in the day when it came to paid Palm OS games, and PopCap thrived on the platform. It's just the original Bejeweled, nothing fancy, and it's in monochrome at that, yet they still managed to make each jewel shape distinct enough without color so it remains highly playable. I've had Bejeweled on every PDA I've ever owned with good reason. The Match 3 gameplay is utterly timeless. But yeah, that's the IBM Workpad from 1998. What a lovely device to use even decades later, despite how woefully outdated it is on a technical level. Its minuscule 2 megabytes of storage, reliance on old hot-sync software, and lack of, well, any modern wireless capability means that there's little reason to grant it serious usage in the 21st century, but that's not why I like these old PDAs so much. It's all about stepping back into a time where Palm OS devices felt like the future, where anything seemed possible once Moore's Law took hold of the burgeoning handheld computer market. Seeing the productivity and entertainment that folks managed to pull off on such a limited device is endlessly fascinating to me, making for a device that's ultra-usable, even if underpowered, stylishly designed yet too small to supplant the need for a laptop. So if you happen to run across an IBM Workpad PC Companion, or any of its late 90s Palm OS relatives, and you find this kind of retro simplicity as intriguing as I do, then grab it. If nothing else, then to while away the hours, trading robots and firearms between technocratic planets while dodging police raids and pirate attacks. And if you dug this PDA retrospective, then might I recommend my video on the HP iPAQ Pocket PC, or other LGR things in general, since I cover retro hardware and software each week. As always though, thank you for watching what you just did.